before I kind of go back and take you on this journey is that I'm going to be very open and honest as I share, because sometimes I'm like the opposite. This business has absolutely changed my life, and I don't want to play that down at all, because I want you guys to understand what's truly possible when you go all in and when you really have a passion to make an impact, okay? So we're gonna get real. So this all began in 2009. This is not when I started coaching, but this is when I was introduced to Beachbody. And we had just moved. This is my first Johnny babe. She's 10 now. And we had just moved across the country from Utah to Florida. And my husband was drafted to play football in the NFL. And so we were living in a hotel. And while he was in training camp, Johnny was 7 weeks old when we moved out there. And so I was obviously right at that space in my postpartum journey where I was like, okay, I have this extra weight now and this brand new baby and no family, and my husband's busy doing something fun that he loves, and how do I get rid of this weight? So I was watching an infomercial, probably in the middle of the night when I was nursing, and it was actually not Insanity, it was 10-Minute Trainer. So this is like old school, okay? So that's a Tony Horton program. So I figured if I could do 10 minutes, like sweet, that was a win. So I would put Johnny on the hotel bed and I would do my 10 minutes, and if she was still content, I would do another one, so another 10 minutes. So my goal was simply to do 3 of them a day on a good day, 30 minutes, and just see what I could make of it. I ended up getting great results. Felt a lot better when I stopped watching HGTV and Chopped and all those shows and like actually did something for myself. And that's what got me introed into Beachbody. So after I was done with 10-Minute Trainer, I needed something else, and I went from 10-Minute Trainer to Insanity, which was not a stepping stone I would ever recommend to anyone. But I started it, and I was obsessed with this program, you guys. I loved it. I was actually an athlete growing up, and so I knew how to work out. I knew how to push. I knew how to train. But I never finished this dang program. And I would do Insanity like the first 30 days really strong, and then the first week of the last phase, which is the next 30 days, I would fizzle out and I would quit. And so I never like put 2 and 2 together that I needed something outside of just me to finish this program. And I did that for 4 years, off and on. I would go to Insanity, go all in, fizzle out and quit. And I did this yo-yo thing where I would go all in, go all off, go all in, go all off. And I'm like, I was just over it. So fast forward to 2013. At this time, my husband was done playing football. He went on to go to veterinary school. So this was his true passion and what he was excited about. So we ended up moving to Oklahoma. I had just had my second baby. So Knox was about 4 months old when we moved to Oklahoma. I was running a photography business at this time, and that was my baby. Like, I had built that business from the ground up. I was shooting weddings and families and seniors, and thought it was like the best situation ever, because I could do it when I could still mom all day, go shoot at night once my husband got home from school, and then edit late at night. And I was like, this is sweet, I can do it on my own time. Well, my husband were basically like high-fiving out the door, like we were just passing each other. So this was obviously straining our marriage. It was straining my health. I was at a place where I just did not feel good again. And so I got back to doing Insanity, and because I knew it worked. So I was doing that, and then I wasn't, because that was just how I did it. And I was like, hey, maybe I'll try something new. And so I was searching on Instagram, and that was when Instagram was new. So I had like just gotten it, and I think I searched a hashtag because I found a random girl who had a picture of her abs, and I was like, she's got abs. I want abs. Sweet, we'll do this. So she had posted about a challenge group. At the time, I had heard some really great things about Shakeology, but our grocery budget was $400 for the month. So when I learned that Shakeology was 130, I was like, okay, I can't spend a quarter of our grocery budget on myself, so that's out of the question. But when I learned that the challenge pack, it was on sale for like 160 or something like that, I'm like, sweet, I could justify that. Trying Shakeology for a month, getting a new program, and I got into our group. And so I got into this challenge, and it was not for T25, it was for Less Meals Combat. But I knew I loved Sean, and T25 was launching, I think like 2 weeks later. And so I started with Less Meals Combat, which we no longer have. And then 2 weeks later, I got T25 because that's what I really wanted. And that's when I signed up to coach, because about 5 days into the challenge group, I loved Shakeology. I loved how I was feeling. I loved that I could walk past like home baked goods and not feel like it was speaking to me anymore. I'm like, okay, this is like a big deal, because that was always my downfall. And so I told my husband, babe, I really think I want to stay on the Shakeology. I know it's expensive, but I'm pretty sure I can help a few people, maybe get it paid for. Like, that was the goal. I had no idea what coaching was. I had no idea how it worked. No idea it was network marketing. No idea, no expectations, nothing. I just knew that I loved it. I felt good. And I had some friends that could probably benefit. And if I could just help 3, it would pay for it. And I could justify it, and I wouldn't get like crap from my husband. So that was my big dream and big goal when I started. And ended up just committing to my journey. I committed to sharing it. I committed to just inviting people to join me on this journey I was on. And that's how it all started. So these are 2 quotes that I came across. So when I was kind of coming up with these pictures, I went back to my Instagram from the beginning and was just screenshotting like things I was sharing. And you guys, my posts were so terrible, and my pictures were awful, and I had, it was just so bad. I'm like, wow, how did I ever make this work? But these were 2 things that I had posted, and I'm like, this is honestly the center of how my journey has evolved. So almost every successful person begins with 2 beliefs. 1, the future can be better than the present, and I have the power to make it so. And so this was absolutely true. I knew that I wanted something more for our life. I wasn't someone who was struggling. I hadn't hit rock bottom. We would have had a great life with my husband's vet career, and we would have just been fine. But a part of me just wasn't okay with being fine. And as I learned more and more about the opportunity, and as I kind of dove into what this was, I knew that if someone else had done it, I could do it too. And I didn't know what that looked like or how it would work or what it even meant for me, but I knew if someone had done it, it was possible for anyone else, and that inkling of hope and belief was planted. And then the second one, you become who you want to be by being who you want to become. This was essentially why I knew I needed to coach, because I remember telling my husband when I was in one of my funks of struggling, well, I had this friend who's a personal trainer, and she was always posting her fitness and her meals, and she looked awesome all the time. And I just was one of those, like, I rolled my eyes. Well, if working out was my job, I would do it. I would find time to do it. You know, that was my excuse. Well, it's not my job, so no wonder she can do it. Well, then I learned that coaching was a thing, and I could make it my job. And so I stepped into that role 100%. And I knew my mindset was in an awful place. I was negative. I was like a scarcity mindset, just not who I wanted to be. And I knew, I read this in this is a quote from someone who is the same faith as I am. But I was like, that's exactly it. If I can be who I want to become, then I'll get there at some point. And so that's what coaching has been from day one. It's helped me create the habits that I needed to create in order to become the person who I wanted to be and to build the life that I wanted to have for my family. And so that's why for 6 years, I every day show up. I do this every day. It's a part of who I am. Just like motherhood, we don't just choose the days we want to change our kids' diapers. Like, we do it every day, whether we want to or not. That's the type of ownership that I've taken with my business and with my role as a coach, to first show up for myself in every capacity: personal growth, my mindset, my fitness, my nutrition, my health, but then also do the actual business activities that we do as a coach. I don't just like call myself a coach and then not do any of the things that it takes to be successful and to help people. Okay, so 2014. This is actually from like just recent, but I was a full-time photographer. Like, my face kind of says it all. That's how I felt about the situation. I was just kind of doing the thing because it was helping provide for our family. I thought it was what I was supposed to do. I found joy in some of the things that I was doing, but I wasn't truly fulfilled. I wasn't truly joyful. I kind of just lived day to day, and I didn't have any big goals or dreams or aspirations, and I was just kind of in this place. I read this book, you guys. If you have not read this book, this needs to be your next book, and you need to read it. It's so good. And basically, the whole gist of it is you do the things that are most important, you prioritize these things, and everything else just gets taken off your plate. And so I know as women especially, and as dudes, but we have so many things thrown at us all the time. Practice for our kids, and can you help coach, and can you do this, and PTO this, and blah, 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 blah. All these things that you can say yes to. While I was building my business and running my photography business and had 2 toddlers and had a husband in vet school that was hardly ever home, I had to get really, 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 really good at saying no to the things that were not serving like our goals, serving what we wanted now and for our future. And in saying no, I was able to then say yes to the most important things. And I got really good at saying, is this bringing me closer to my goals and who I want to become, or is it not? And it was really, really easy to take a lot off my plate and to stop doing a lot of the things that I was doing to fill my time that weren't serving us. So this book absolutely changed and has been kind of how I've run my business from day one. And I highly, highly, highly recommend it, okay? 2015, so we were in vet school, 2 kids, and I remember I was running a coach mentor group, and so I was getting these new coaches started, and within the first, I think it was the first day, the first post was, okay, I want you guys to have some clarity around what you want your goal to be in like the next 60 days, a year from now, 5 years from now, and 10 years from now. And I wanted them to get clear on just what they wanted for their life and having this vision that they could work towards. And so in that moment, I'm like, well, what do I want? I don't know. I haven't even done this. So I remember commenting under that post with my goals and what I wanted for our family. And maybe it was within the 2-year goal. I wanted to have paid off my husband's vet school tuition. He was out of state. He would have had a ton of debt. And I remember thinking to myself, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, that's not possible. And in my brain, it didn't make sense. And I didn't know how it was going to happen. But I knew that was what we needed to do. We needed to pay off his vet debt at some point. So why not do it in the next 2 years? And so that was the first time that I had something tangible and real that I could work hard for. And before he graduated vet school, we had paid off all of his vet debt, and he graduated with no student loans. And for us, that meant that we had the freedom to choose where we wanted to be at that point. And that was the driving force. It wasn't just to check off the box that we paid off his debt. I knew that for me, my number one priority in my life is my family. And my immediate family, yes, but also our extended family, JD's family and my family and our siblings and parents. And I wanted to be near them. And at the time, my husband, he graduated first in his class. He's like the bomb. He could have gotten a job anywhere he wanted. And the job that would have paid him the most, that we would have absolutely taken had we not had the choice, would have been in the Midwest. It was the best opportunity for him. He was doing something that he would have enjoyed. And we would have ended up probably in Kansas or Nebraska or something like that. And I'm sure they're great places, but that is not where I wanted to be and to raise my kids in just the middle of not anywhere near our family. And so that in the back of my brain was like, Micah, you can change this situation. Like you can not have to just follow your husband everywhere he needs to go. We can have a life together and do what's best for our family. And that was my motivating factor first. So I hustled. And what does that even look like? That just means I did the actual things that we teach you. The Success Club System Tracker, the IPAs, the income producing activities, the things that you're probably scared to do, expanding your market, inviting people, connecting with people. I just made those top priority. And I made sure no matter what our days looked like, no matter how busy life was with toddlers and school and travel and running my business, I got them done. And I figured out how to fit them in. And not only did I do it, but I taught my coaches how to do that. And I taught them the importance to duplicate those things. And we were able to make it happen. So that was the first ginormous blessing because it completely changed the trajectory of our life. 100%. We would probably still be in the Midwest had this not happened because it was by far the highest paying opportunity for him, and we would have absolutely gone with that if we needed the income. So then what happened from that hustle and from that urgency to create this for our family was we ended up becoming a top 10 team, which was super rad. We earned a trip to Paris, which traveling was not a thing before coaching, and that was another driving force. Was I want to be able to travel and see the world, but I also want to be able to take my kids to experience things and to see the world. And so that was a huge motivating factor, as well as understanding how the comp plan worked and how the reward system worked and how to earn these Success Club trips, and then how top 10 was a thing and they got a super rad trip every single year. And so just understanding how the business works and how the company rewards certain things so that you can align your actions and your activities to earn the things that are important to you. Then that year, 2004, was it 2000? Probably early 2015 at this point, we find out we're pregnant with number 3. And that was super exciting. And at the same time, this is one of our trips that we went to Cancun. At the time, I was like, okay, well, now how do I do this? I got very fit, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna become unfit. So how do you work this business pregnant? That's kind of weird. But I just continued to do it. I just continued to value what we had and the resources we had and the lifestyle and the habits. And I shared throughout the entire process. I worked out. I was able to work out throughout my entire pregnancy. I was able to continue Shakeology, and everything was in alignment with what I needed to do anyways to be healthy. And that allowed me to connect with a whole new market of women who didn't know they could even work out when they were pregnant and who would follow along the journey and then see my postpartum. And that was just such a blessing. So there's going to be seasons of life when you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like, this doesn't fit. You just figure out how to make it fit. When you get sick, obviously there's certain circumstances, you guys, when you can't, okay? But for the most part, what we do is live a healthy life. And you just figure out what that looks like, and it's gonna look different in certain seasons of your life, but you just figure out how to be consistent and how to continue to share your story throughout. This was a picture of when we moved in to our home in Idaho. So we ended up moving to Idaho. We moved across country. We had all that exciting new chapter to deal with. And we were able to choose exactly where we wanted to live, the home we wanted to live in, where we wanted to be. And it just felt like, okay, this is all fitting. Like this is what we're supposed to be doing right now. And this is our Paris trip, which was super sick. And then I saw this post. I'm like, okay, this is also something that I want to share, because I know you get a lot of spouse kickback and a lot of kind of, they're not on board, they don't really see how it's going to benefit them. It's taking away time from hanging out at night if you have to carve out some power hour time or whatever. But what we soon began to see was I was never going to retire JD. Like, that was my goal, but it was not his goal. And so we had to get in alignment with what are our goals? What are our dreams together? What do we want to do as a family? And coming out of school, he took a job that wasn't his absolute favorite, but it was a solid opportunity. He was doing a little bit of what he didn't want, but a lot of what he did want to do. And he wanted to build his own herd, and he wanted to have his own cattle, and he wanted to do all this stuff and specialize in certain areas. And because of this, and because of the hard work and everything that we put into it, not only was he able to start his own herd and do something that he was passionate about, but he was able to step away from the clinic he was at to do his own thing, and to open his own practice where he does exactly what he wants, when he wants, and how he wants to do it. And he, if you talk to him, oh, he is the #1 Beachbody fan, because he is like, this has allowed me to do what I wanted to do, which is not be a Beachbody coach. Yes, we have him signed up and he's an awesome supporter and coach, and we do this together, but he doesn't actively coach or do anything, but he supports my business, and it's our business together, and is able to do what he loves because we have worked so hard together. And that's been an absolute blessing, not only for his business, but for our marriage, because we're way happier. It has allowed us to travel. I talked about this, you guys, but this is something that I was super just excited about. I just wanted my kids to see the world. I wanted them to have memories that we could experience together. And I didn't want to have to put it on credit card or stress out, or I'm the type of person where, and you'll see, I'll share a couple other things, but if we have to put it on credit card or whatever, like, it just doesn't happen, because I just don't like debt at all. And so we just wouldn't have ever traveled. We wouldn't have ever done fun things ever, because I'm just like that. And so it's allowed us to be able to say yes, to be able to create memories and like weave Beachbody into our family life. I always look for reasons to make a family experience out of something. I like this. When Jody's been asking me for like a year to get up here and to speak and to come to an event, and I'm like, it hasn't aligned with what we have going on with our family and babies and travel and all that stuff. But I'm like, but we'd really love to see Banff. How close are you to Banff? And she's like, oh yeah, we're real close. And I'm like, okay, I can swing it. We'll make it happen. And so we did. We made it a family vacation, and we've been able to come up. And it's just such a blessing how we get to do that. Like, this is a business trip. Okay, Banff is pretty sick. So it's just cool. You just have to figure out what you want for your family, what you want for your life, and how to weave it in. It's not Beachbody and then your family life and your career and whatever. Like, they're very much the same thing. And the sooner you can marry the two, the more harmony you'll find. And when you can find harmony, you'll find more joy. And when you find more joy, you'll be more excited to show up and to do it. So then, whoop-de-doo, we get pregnant with #4. Woohoo, another baby. And it was just kind of rinse and repeat. Shared through the journey, made that a big part of my marketing plan and my messaging and who I wanted to reach, and you just keep trucking, okay? So 2015, the next big thing we did was we were able to pay off our Tahoe within like, I don't know, a year or something of getting it. I'm like, okay, this is sweet. Like, I love checking off the box of like paying things off. That was a huge motivator for me to continue to show up and continue to share and continue to help my coaches have success. And then to be able to show women like you can do things a healthier way. So this was my first pregnancy, 29 weeks, and then that was my third, not my fourth. My third at 35 weeks. And it was just cool for me to see like my habits are changing, our lifestyle is changing, I'm changing. Like, this is really cool. And it's something that I want to do forever, right? So then my fourth babe, Brig, no, that was my third. Finley, was it Finley that got into the NICU or Brig? Brig got into the NICU. Okay, I'm all off, it's fine. So Brig got into the NICU for a week, and I remember with Johnny was also in the NICU for a week, and holy moly, I was dreading those bills. I knew they were coming. I didn't know what it looked like. It stressed me out. We were super financially strapped at the time. And then to experience that same thing with Brig and just know we're gonna be fine. I don't care what the bills look like. We'll be fine. I remember opening up the bills and being like, sweet, we'll write a check and we'll pay it off. That peace and that amount of just, you don't have to worry, is what I want for every single one of my coaches, and what drives me to continue to share this gift with everyone. Because what I know is that if I can do it, anyone can do it. Remember that part? And so I truly believe that we have this incredible gift to offer hope and guidance and peace and joy and fulfillment and all of these things that so many people want but don't know how to achieve it. And I know how I've achieved it, and I know how others can. And so that's what keeps me showing up and keeps me sharing and keeps me motivated to help others for the rest of our life. Like, this is something I'll do for the rest of our life for sure. So then 2017, we just keep trucking, right? Keep doing the same things, keep sharing. That's when I get pregnant with number 4. That's number 4. We live on 40 acres. We have horses and cows, and my kids get to be raised in this lifestyle that was so foreign to me. I was like a city girl that doesn't even like animals that much, but of course I marry a vet, and we raise our kids like this, and it's just such a blessing. So nothing miraculous has happened in this moment. We just keep doing the mundane things that keep moving our lives forward. And then we were able to pay off our home in how many years? 3 years? I think in 3 years, within buying our home and 40 acres, we were able to pay it off completely. And our goal with all of this is just to be free birds. Like, I just want time freedom and financial freedom and freedom to just do what I want with who I want when I want. Like, I don't want anyone telling me what to do. And so the sooner I can pay something off, the better. So we were able to pay off our home, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty legit. I gotta keep doing this. I have more goals. And at this point, we were like, hey, what's next for our family? And at that point, that's when we got a boat, because in my brain, I'm like, okay, I gotta lock our kids in to a specific area so they'll hang out with us for as long as we can. So we will get a boat, and we will make that our family thing, and we can do it together and have memories. And that's so far so good. We're doing good, and I absolutely love it. So we were able to get that and just pay cash for it and not have to worry about the stress of having that and the expenses, because growing up I always wanted a boat, but I remember my parents just being like, boats are so expensive. They're a money pit. Once you get it, they break down. You have to pay for this, that you have to pay for gas every time. They're so expensive. So in my brain, I'm like, okay, it's so expensive. I'll never have it. But I wanted it. And so I made it happen. Like, when you have something that, okay, when you have something, when you're like, hey, I want something, this is how I get it. You put the 2 and 2 together. Like, that's legit, you guys. That's what drives you to work. So this is just showing how I get it done. It's usually in my sweats. I worked a lot while I was nursing for a year when I was nursing Finn. Like, the mom cracks, you guys. It wasn't pretty and it wasn't fancy and it's not glamorous, but that's how you do the business, in the cracks of when you can make it happen. And that's the beauty of this. In this time, I have met the most incredible human beings you will ever meet. Like, this community is unmatched, you guys. The friendships that I've made, the sisterhood we have, is such a blessing, and you get to create whatever you want, and that's, hi buddy, and that is so cool. So just a couple other fun moments with my ginger babes. So these are my coach's kids. My kids have rad friends now because my coaches are cool and they have cool kids. So this was our Success Club trip that we earned for our family. This was the top 10 trip in Greece that we just got back from. And then Summit obviously was incredible. Just coming together with our coaches and our team and our family and being able to share that together. And then just as I wrap this up, you guys, this is just such a simple picture. This is part of JD's family. We're just hanging out one afternoon. And when I think about this business, and in the midst of paying off cars and paying off our house and getting a boat and paying off blah, 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 this is what it's all about. I wanted to have a home that we could gather our family, that we could have the time to be together, that we could have the experiences to share together. And that's what's driven me to say yes and to continue to show up and continue to share this. So my story might not speak to you. You might not care about any of those things. But you guys have to get clear on what you want, because the platform and the opportunity is the same for every single one of us. What we do with it and why we're doing it and how we do it, there's no right or wrong. There's no perfect one way to build this or a reason to build it, but the opportunity is the same, and it will absolutely change your life when you let it and when you show up with that focus. So if you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always gotten. Simply put, if I would have stayed in that negative mind space, continuing to go all in, all out, all in, all out, just kind of getting through life with complacency and with no drive and with no direction, I would have just lived a fine life, which would have been okay. But I knew that I wanted something different. And it didn't happen overnight. I didn't want all these big things overnight. I just wanted these simple things. I wanted these simple memories and these simple feelings of just peace and joy and those little things in life. And I knew that this was the way that I could make it happen if I showed up every single day with that urgency and with that focus and with that desire to just impact others, because that's what this is all about. So if I can, you can, and I want you to truly believe that, because it's 100% possible for all of you guys. Okay?